Good morning. Before we actually start our lesson for today and looking at our models, we're going to look back at our simulation that we did yesterday. I'll make sure that we got the same results that I was hoping for. Now, your first goal was to try and create more sediment in this model without just clicking the Add Sediment button. So you hopefully found out that the way to do that would be to click on Weather, and then that weather that would happen above the land here. If you click over here, it will start. And I can see that rain is actually causing runoff to flow down this hill. And with that runoff, I have a whole bunch of sediments flowing into the water here and stacking up on top of sediments that are already there. I also noticed that my land here got a little bit smaller as pieces of that rock flowed away. And then I have compaction and cementation happening over a couple of million years here. So that was how I created sediment with weather. And the sediment ended up in the water, pressing down on other sediments. My other goal was to try and create magma. And if you played around with these buttons over here, you hopefully got to a point where you clicked on melt and then clicked on the rock that is deep underneath the surface of the earth. And what I can see happening there is that over about 1 million years, the rock underneath the surface of the earth melts and becomes liquid magma. And then what I could also do here is actually cool that magma either below the surface. I'll cool this one below the surface and I can see it rise up and actually cool off and over about 1 million years form a small piece of rock. Or I could even cool it at the surface and have it rise up. And what it's doing there is actually creating a volcano that is then cooling off and creating new rock up at the top of our surface here. And the more that happens, the bigger and bigger that volcano will get until I have some weathering come over the top of it and actually break down pieces of rock from that. So this cycle continuously happens over millions and millions of years, but that is how we could create sediment and how we can create magma. You are also supposed to go into our energy mode and just see where these types of, where these energies come from or where these changes actually are caused from. So if I just turn on the energy from the sun, I'll start to see some processes happening. And the first one I see is weathering. And then I start to see erosion as it carries those sediments downhill into the water. And those sediments stack up just like we saw before and press down, making sedimentary rock. So that showed me that the energy from the sun is actually what helps create sediment and sedimentary rock. If I turn that energy off and then turn on the energy from the Earth's interior, that thermal energy, what I see is rock melting and becoming magma. And then eventually that magma rising up towards the surface or even underneath the surface and melting and then cooling again to create igneous rock. So I have several different types of things happening with each type of energy, but the sun's energy is what created sediment and sedimentary rock. The Earth's interior energy is what creates that magma and igneous rock. And then you can still see here that because of the energy in the Earth's interior, it's actually moving plates around and burying that igneous rock down even further, which will form another type of rock that we're going to talk about later on. I'm going to turn off that energy there. And for today's lesson, you're going to be going back to our hard candy model where we made our sedimentary rock by weathering and then sticking together or compacting and cementing pieces of Jolly Rancher. And we're going to take this one step further, and we want to see if we can make sediment out of both sedimentary rock and igneous rock. Now, the igneous rock in this case will be just whole Jolly Ranchers because those are actually melted and then cooled off by the factory that makes the Jolly Ranchers. So they are actually already a good representation of igneous rock. So we're going to see if we can make sediments out of both of them. We're also going to see if we can make igneous rock or magma out of both of these types of rock, the sedimentary rock and the already igneous rock. Can we